The United States and the West continue maintaining the strategy of being extremely cautious and slow in their aid to Ukraine. Enough for Ukraine to continue defending, but not nearly enough to attempt something bigger on the battlefield, all in the name of avoiding escalation. However, escalation still came, although it was not from an expected source. North Korea has reportedly sent its troops to fight against the Ukrainian army. Has anyone had any major reaction to this development?
North Korea has... I had this fantasy today. I had a fantasy today. Listen to this fantasy. You get teleported. So the human race is falling apart. We're nuking each other. Trump and Putin nuke each other. The world is ending. In the final moments, a scientist decides to send you back in time 20 years to save the world. So you arrive in 2004. Holy sh! And you're like, guys, Donald Trump will win the election and he will invade Putin because Putin invaded Ukraine. And let's not forget that nobody helped Ukraine enough, but North Korea helped Putin, and now the North Koreans are taking Kiev. Like, and everybody's gonna look at you like, buddy, no one will believe you, right? It makes you think what's gonna happen the next 10 years that will be even more unbelievable. It's crazy, man.
On the battlefield, the negative trend for the Ukrainian army persists. The Russians keep pushing in several sectors. In some, they advance, in others, they are stopped. But overall, the Russian army maintains their offensive momentum. In early October, the 72nd Brigade, fighting in Volodar, was forced to withdraw in order to avoid encirclement. This unit...
But to be honest, we always knew Ukraine will have to retreat. The thing is always you need to retreat while doing maximum casualties to the Russians. You obviously have to give away land, but you have to make them pay for it hard. And I think that's actually the doctrine they're running right now.
Including defeating several previous Russian attempts on Volodar. However, according to the soldiers...
South Korea said, send me links, never just talk. I don't trust any of you. Send me links.
...of the 72nd Brigade, by now, they are completely exhausted, under
20 years ago, you're like, guys, the Korea War will start in Ukraine and Russia. Guys.
And lacking enough
it's the
firepower
truth.
and drones
the
to
second
stop
Korea
the
War in fucking Velkia Novoliska.
Beyond Volodar are not too solid. On October 26th, the Russians made a rapid advance to Shatazka, Novokrenka and Bohoyavlenka. Questions are being asked about the lack of proper fortifications in this area, and in the absence of those, flat terrain allowed for quick Russian progress. The Ukrainian situation here looks very threatening, as the only natural barrier to the north is the Sukiyali River. Elsewhere, on the Zaporizhia front, the Russian 336th Naval Infantry Brigade and other units captured Levadna and made gains south of Novodorivka after conducting a localized assault on October 12th. The Russian assaults continued in the Pokrovsk sector as well. Although the Russian progress here has been steady, it has by no means been...
They have pushed Advika a lot. I really wonder, and I don't know the answer, and I think chat doesn't know either, how much did it take to take... What's the KD in taking this? I wonder.
At least 539 tanks,
oh, look what he says.
1,020 infantry fighting vehicles, and...
Russia is losing so much, yet they keep coming, Alter. This feels like playing a hardcore Black Ice,
other types of equipment, including artillery guns, in the battles in the Pokrovsk rayon. However, even such heavy losses have not stopped the Russian advance, since they feel like they can afford these losses. The Russian movement
10,000 in total.
Suggests that they intend to attack...
And no one cares about them. That's the fucking truth. No one on Earth cares about these soldiers. Only their families, man. No one gives a fuck.
From the H32 highway in the northeast of the city and the M30 highway in the south. They have advanced in both directions. On the northern axis, they have completed the capture of Radivka, Krasny Yar, Kruty Yar and Mykolaiivka, reaching the doorstep of Minaret, which is the last major settlement on the way to Pokrovsk in the east. Along the M30, Russian progress has been more impressive. On October 27th, after a few days of urban battles, Svelidova fell, and Vishneva was captured soon after. Further to the south,
I don't like watching these videos, man. They make me feel not good.
Sukharina, Ismailivka,
and look at us. We're just watching. We're sitting in our nice West, man. We're fucking eating McDonald's, man. We're drinking Coca-Cola and we jerk off to hentai, man. Well, these people are dying for us, man. I believe in this. I don't care what you say. They're dying for us. Imagine Ukraine will not defend this, and he would have taken Ukraine in 3 days. He would have felt so empowered and went for more, man. And it would have been an even more threatening situation right now.
It is notable that, according to open source analysts, the Ukrainians have already started building defensive lines beyond Pokrovsk in the Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. Ukrainian engineers should have sufficient time to complete solid defensive lines, since the Russians have not...
This one, give it time to load. It's crazy how we have all these informations, huh? Russian mechanized attack. Ooh. Oh, wow. They have all these pictures and stuff. And Telegram. They have like proof of everything. Wow, that's crazy. Crazy stuff, man.
Reached Pokrovsk yet, and urban battles in this town will definitely delay the Russian army. But one of the biggest criticisms of the Ukrainian command is poorly constructed fortifications.
It's the best documented war in history. I mean, makes sense, huh?
After months of heavy battles, the Russians finally made notable progress in Chasiv Yar. After capturing hills west of Kalinivka, they managed to break through into the town limits through the forest, capturing the Druzhba children camp. Subsequently, they also captured the Novi district and made progress in the Zhovtnevi district, finally managing to cross the Seversky Donets Canal. The Ukrainians are still apparently holding the higher ground inside Chasiv.
Talking about crazy Putin is a sure sign of political creditism. Oh, we got a Russia bot in chat. Crazy Putin, huh? How dare I call Putin crazy, man?
In the second
I
half
must
of
truly be insane.
East of the Oskil River, the Russian advance continued too.
Oh, the what on the servers off, or why are you
their
here?
forces reached the highway between Krylyakivka and Kolesnikivka. By doing this, they have essentially cut the Ukrainian forces in half at the bridgehead east of Oskil. Then
That
they
sucks in HOI4 because you have to do 2 new front
captured
lines.
Stelmakivka. On October 18th, the Russian army captured Novosadova and defeated the Ukrainian bridgehead east of the river Zherebets. The Russians are already on the doorstep of Kupiansk, and if the trend of the past couple of months
not looking good.
they will most likely capture the Ukrainian bridgehead east of the Oskil fairly soon too. But Ukraine's situation has improved in Toretsk. Until mid-October, the Russians were gradually grinding their way through, but then Ukraine suddenly launched a surprise counterattack, taking the majority of Toretsk back under their control
New
and
York.
pushing the Russians to the outskirts.
New
This does not
York.
mean that Ukraine has won this battle, but once again it shows that despite the Russian strategic initiative on the battlefield, the Ukrainian
What does this J mean? Okay,
army
I'm not.
is still
I didn't ask.
capable
I
of
didn't
doing
fucking ask.
damage. The Russians will likely bring in more reserves to overpower the Ukrainian defenses in Toretsk. The Kursk front remains the most curious battlefield of this war in terms of maneuver warfare. The situation is still fluid, with defenses
because
not
Reddit
as solid
downvoted
and
them.
positions not as entrenched. On October 11th, the Russian 155th Naval Infantry Brigade attempted another counterattack from Koronevo. Ukraine's western flank in Kursk was taken by surprise and initially overwhelmed, allowing the Russians to advance 10 kilometers deep and retake Snagost, Lyubimovka, Zeleny Shelek,
That's where you fucking retreat, buddy.
and Novoivinivka. At one point,
it's not
they
going
managed
well,
to
huh?
bypass the main Ukrainian defenses and
You can laugh at me all you want. This makes me cringe.
to their
This
rear
feels not
and
good.
engage in a firefight with Ukrainian artillerists and drone operators. After recovering from the Russian assault, the Ukrainians launched their own counterattack from the north in Olgovka and Matvivka, and from the south, pushing the Russians out of Leonidovo and Novoivinivka, regaining almost half of what they had lost.
Gives you a feeling of dread.
Still,
Yeah.
the Russian counterattack likely
And
forced the
again,
Ukraine.
the one fact I believe in, I truly believe this, man, whatever you think, whatever I think, none of this matters in the future. When children will open history books, legit history books, they will all write what fucking pussies we were. And I think the next generations will all shake their heads. Like we shake our heads at the appeasement strategy of Neville Chamberlain. They will shake our heads. I really
to
believe that's
withdraw
what
from their
history is gonna
positions near
say.
Koronevo. The Russians have
Whether
also
you like
made
it or
some
not.
gains east of Sudzha and have pushed the Ukrainians out of most of the Glishkovo district. Russia has already brought many reinforcements to the Kursk Oblast.
Next generation won't care, Tommy. Yeah, we really don't care about the history of military stuff. We never watch any Vietnam documentaries. We never talk about past wars. Nobody cares about World War II at all. You guys playing some Hello Doos later?
Some of them have
That's
been
come on.
previously deployed
Come
in
on, buddy.
Ukraine, according to the Ukrainian Commander-in-Chief Syrsky. And apparently, Russia is now planning to send North Koreans to Kursk to bolster their manpower advantage in this area further and
Do you want
defeat
World War
the-
III? Again, for 3 years we talk about this. Children opinion, do you want World War III? They appeased for Sudetenland, for Czechoslovakia, and for Poland. They thought appeasing a crazy fascist dictator is gonna work and leads to peace. What did it lead to? What did it always lead to? You gotta use your fucking brain. You know what's saving us right now for World War III? It's the fucking Ukrainians saving our ass. Holding there, man. That's what's saving us.
Initially, there were reports about North Korean instructors helping the Russian army in the use of their missiles,
John McClane has taught us you don't negotiate with terrorists, man.
along with a small
And
number
if you let someone like Vladimir Putin's Russia hold us hostage, because I'm so afraid of World War III, man, then let him just fucking take it all and rape Busha and Eastmoot and all that fucking shit. Let him just do what he wants, huh?
of engineering forces. But at first, the South Korean news agency Yonhap reported that North Korea had sent
John McClane,
12,000
man.
soldiers
John
to
McClane.
fight for Russia in Ukraine. Then Zelensky and Budanov reiterated this claim, with the latter suggesting that the first 2,600 of them would be sent to the Kursk Oblast, while the rest are undergoing training in the Russian Far East. After them, the US officials and the NATO Secretary General Rutte confirmed these claims. We have not seen North Koreans fighting in this war yet. But these reports demonstrate that this development is imminent. The United States' strategy in this war has been to avoid
I like that comment. It's more escalation when we do it, but not when they do it. Great comment. I love that a lot. The 10,000 Koreans going to the border, I guess. We should help Ukraine. Oh, you want World War III, buddy? Oh, hey, come on,
the
man.
Increase of scope or intensity of the conflict. Involving another country's troops in the war is a textbook example of escalation. It will be curious to see how the United States and NATO react to this development. But we should not be surprised if the reaction is rhetorical only. The Pentagon's statement that the United States will place no new limits on the Ukrainian use of American weapons if North Korea indeed joins the war certainly indicates this. It does not say anything about permission to use the American long-range weapons on Russian soil. So the Western reaction to the North Korean involvement may be minimal, but the silver lining for Ukraine is that South Korea may actually consider sending weapons and ammunition to Ukraine in response to the North Korean involvement, which would be a considerable development given the military resources available to South Korea. Remember, back in 2023, it was reported that the South Korean artillery shell deliveries enabled the Ukrainians to go on a counteroffensive.
That's not true, is it? Elon Musk is in a call with Trump and Zelensky, or was. Elon Musk joined Trump-Zelensky call amid concerns. He's already getting very influential now in this government. He's getting a lot of power now. I always believe the human race will slowly come to a corporate, how do you call that? When corporations take over everything? And you really see it lately, right? Corporations are deciding elections and shit.
For now, North Korea is the more active
corporate
of the two.
Oligarchy.
According to Bloomberg, since August 2023, they have sent roughly 8 million artillery shells to Russia, which constitutes a whopping 60% of what Russia has used since then. North Korea has also reportedly delivered approximately 100 Hwasong-11 ballistic missiles and Bullseye-4 anti-tank weapons. They are doing it in exchange for Russian nuclear and other military technologies. We have already reported about significant military deliveries coming from Iran and the supply of dual-use technology from China, which is used for military production in Russia. Now, according to Bloomberg, India is doing the same. In July 2024, their exports of dual-use technologies to Russia increased to $95 million. Russia has a lot of Indian rupees gained from oil sales to India, and Russia does not really have many options for spending rupees, so they use them to purchase crucial technologies from India. Meanwhile, support from the West for Ukraine is gradually decreasing. In October, the United States announced a single military aid package worth $425 million, which included NASAMS, RIM-7 missiles, Tau and Stinger missiles, HIMARS ammunition, artillery shells,
like the
and
Axis?
Javelin and 84 anti-tank guns.
It's the future of a new Cold War, BRICS versus the rest.
This comes at a time when the American
If this was a video game, I'd be like, BRICS as team game.
media signal.
Like, imagine this is a MOBA. BRICS has the worst characters and the individually less skilled players, but they're always running as a team of 5, like in League of Legends and Dota. Whereas the West, everybody is like kind of strong, and we have a big carry. We have a level 25 anti-mage. He has Battle Fury, everything, USA we call him, but he's always just farming on his own. He's alone in the jungle farming.
Ukraine fatigue in the United States is reaching new heights. There are reports that both American parties are pressuring Zelensky to lower the mobilization age to 18. So far, the Ukrainian president has resisted these calls.
He knows we'll get in big trouble for that.
In Ukraine makes it too costly to the future of the country to send the youth to the battlefield.
Yeah.
A Ukrainian blogger explained the rationale behind this stance. People often fail to see the strategic implications. Before the war, the 18 to 25 age group numbered just over 1 million. Some have left, others were killed in action. If we mobilize what's left, we risk losing an entire generation. And if no one remains, then what's the point? And the Republicans regaining the Senate majority, it is possible that the US military aid to Ukraine will significantly decrease or stop completely. Trump also promised to end the war as soon as he is elected, on day one. It is yet to happen, but we need to watch out for the change in US policy come January. The Economist quoted an American source saying, "We have no more to give them without taking serious risks in other places." The other places are the Middle East and Southeast Asia. Evidently, both are a higher priority for the United States. Ukraine reported...
Do you realize, so every time we watch these videos, every time we talk, there's never a moment talking about Europe helping. There's never a moment about Europe doing anything.
They asked for THAAD anti-ballistic missile defense systems, which would have helped them fight Iskander and Kinjal missiles, but the Americans have instead chosen to give them to Israel. The United States is also reportedly not impressed with Zelensky's victory plan, since it envisages a significant increase of military aid and guarantees of NATO membership. The Americans are reluctant to give either.
Well, that victory plan is not sounding very realistic, is it?
The New York Times reported about Zelensky's proposal of a non-nuclear deterrence package, which included Tomahawk missiles with a 1,500-mile range. A senior US official called this a totally unfeasible request. You can only imagine how an administration that
these videos make me so depressed.
The delivery of ATACMS missiles with much smaller ranges reacted to this request. Evidently, the Ukrainian government is looking for a significant weapons package to not only fight the Russians on equal footing, but to deter them from attacking Ukraine ever again. The West is not ready for such a level of support. This may prompt Ukraine to look for unconventional ways of deterring Russia from attacking it. According to media reports, during his meeting with Trump, Zelensky told the Republican nominee that Ukraine has two choices, either NATO membership or developing a nuclear weapon. He reportedly said, "Which nuclear countries have suffered? None, apart from Ukraine. Which country gave up the nuclear weapon? All of them? No, only Ukraine. And who is fighting today? Ukraine." The German Bild may not be the most trustworthy source, but they claim that a Ukrainian official told them that Ukraine is considering developing nuclear weapons. "We have materials, we have knowledge. If there is an order, we would only need a few weeks to get our first bomb." Zelensky's administration has already refuted this claim, but it is definitely something to keep an eye on.
Every time we watch these videos, there's this thing I believe in, man. You guys know I'm a Volt voter and I like a united Europe. I think we Europeans should work together and be friends and unite, man. And it always makes me think of something I really believe in, man. That's a fucking European army, man. To slowly undergo the steps, it's a very hard process, I understand that, of a European army, man. And what I always miss in Europe is this sense of pride, man. People that are patriotic and prideful in Europe are often just fucking weirdo right-wingers, man. But imagine, I said this for years now. You know, you look at Islamist people, they believe in the Quran and beheading their enemies. You look at these Russian soldiers, they believe in Putin, even though they have to eat fucking cats. You look at America, they will die for their country. America, USA, USA. And then you look at Europe. I always wish we had a bit of healthy pride, European pride, not local pride, but European pride. Yes, we Germans, we were proud once, many people died, but it's something I'd like to see, man. I'm gonna say it, man. I swear to God, if there was like a European army and there was like a reservist program that once a year you have to go to a training for one weekend, man, I'd be totally in, man. I'd be totally in. To be proud of ourselves again, man. But what are we fucking doing in Europe, man? All the politicians are corrupt. All this wasted potential. Europe is a fucking joke, man. Poland and Hungary, we had to pay them money so they vote for the membership of Sweden and Finland, man. We're a fucking joke. And it all always comes down to me. Every video we watch, every single issue we look at on this channel, it's never the people that bring the issue. It's always the governing apparatus, man. It's always the governing people, the leaders that fuck it up. And it looks like they fuck up. It looks like they're a mistake, but they're not doing mistakes. It's just that the decisions they make are for a certain group of people that you are not part of. They're not stupid. People, the leaders in the world, Putin, Trump, they're not dumb people. They know what the fuck they're doing, bro.
Particularly if Ukraine's Western support base becomes smaller.
It's crazy to me how I open the internet and I go to Twitter, I go to 9gag, and there's so much Russian propaganda. But I never see a single guy who's like, EU, let's stand up and defend our values. No one fucking does that. And if you do it, man, you have a non-sub with 50 messages. Oh, Tommy, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. It seems to me sometimes like, and I'm so sorry to say this, that, and I hope I'm wrong, but it seems scientifically speaking, not my opinion, if you live too long in peace, you become a sissy. If you have 70 years of peace, man, you become a bit retarded. Oh, let Putin have it. I'm so scared, man. The human race is in its core a violent race. No one can deny that. Our entire history is war. It sucks and we should change, but it's still inherently in our DNA, man. And whoever wants peace must prepare for war. We had to wake up 3 years ago. The EU had to wake up and see the truth of this, man. And the only thing I just want to kind of say is it would be nice if we find our balls and just believe in what we stand for. That Germany, UK, France, Sweden, Spain, we're fucking friends now. Let's work together, man. Let's stop fucking each other. East Germany votes 30% anti-EU party. It votes 10% pro-Putin party. Are we insane? And then you see it every 80 years in history. Real life knocks at your door. You're in a fucking trench all of a sudden. You see the fucking reality of shit and you wake the fuck up. Holy shit, man.
To review the rest of the promised
anyway, thank you, Kenta Lucky.
On October 6th, the Dutch defense minister stated that Ukraine has received its first F-16s from the Netherlands, with 24 more jets to be delivered in the...
Calling 40% of voters insane? Yes! Yes, Mario. Yes!
upcoming months.
Exactly.
Norway will deliver 6 additional F-16s in the same time span. The French media has reported that France is going to send
Dutch
up to
F-16s.
20 Mirage 2000
Norway,
5F 4th generation fighter jets
France,
after their modernization
where's Germany,
in
huh?
2025. The German Chancellor Scholz pledged to deliver Iris-T, Gepard vehicles, howitzers, drones and artillery ammunition worth 1.4 billion euros by the end of the year. It looks like the Australian government has finally managed to persuade the Biden administration to send their old M1A1 Abrams tanks to Ukraine. 49 tanks will be sent to Ukraine instead of disposing of them. Croatia pledged to deliver 30 M84A4 tanks and 30 BVP M80 infantry fighting vehicles to Kyiv. Lastly, on October...
You guys are spamming this a lot. What is this? JD Vance says US could drop support for NATO if Europe tries to regulate Elon Musk's platform. I think we all know that Elon Musk took a big gamble and he won the elections, so Elon Musk will now have a lot of power. He has high friends now in the biggest country in the world. I'm not going to go to some backwoods country and tell them how to live their lives, Vance added, but European countries should theoretically share American values, especially about some very basic things like free speech. Fuck, man, that's the vice presidents now, man. Fuck. The US ranked 26th in the world when it comes to free speech. With several members of the European Union higher up the list, according to the Global Expression Report. Crazy times are coming.
October 27th, Rheinmetall announced its intention to open another military production plant of an unspecified category in Ukraine.
Born in Switzerland is winning the lottery. Switzerland sounds like heaven on earth, right? But you need to make good money. Switzerland is expensive. Every successful German I've ever met in my life all live in Switzerland. I once had connections to a big German streamer. Stay also lives in Switzerland. I remember my dad's old boss. He was a big roofer, had a big roofing firm, also Switzerland. Everyone with a brain went to Switzerland, I swear to God.
Throughout this war.
They all just fucking left to Switzerland.
Producing 20
Let the world kill itself. I have the bunkers.
According to Zelensky, their artillery and mortar shell production in the first half of 2024 has had a 25-fold increase in comparison with the whole year of 2022. Mass drone production is taking place as well.
I remember when I was a kid, my dad was a roofer, and he would always say the dream of craftsmanship, East German craftsmen, is to always get a job in Switzerland, because the money they pay you there makes you rich in East Germany.
This is
he always tried to get a job in Switzerland.
Not enough to supply the Ukrainian army
Move to Switzerland then?
Level to
I don't want to leave my family.
Ukraine still heavily relies on Western military aid and will continue to do so in the foreseeable future. And since Western military support is not something Ukraine can rely on in the long run, and due to an increasingly challenging situation,
I don't know much about Switzerland, to be honest.
We are hearing
probably the German-speaking part.
Booming negotiations. Numerous reputable media sources, like the Financial Times and Der Spiegel, have claimed that Ukraine and its allies are considering their options right now. One of the ideas is for Ukraine to accept the loss of the occupied territories without recognizing Russia's sovereignty over them, in exchange for NATO membership or equivalent security guarantees by...
I fucking hate saying it. I hate it, but I have to be realistic. I'm obviously a guy that says everything should go back to Ukraine, but it's just not realistic. This seems great. But Putin would never agree to that.
Its allies.
That's what Trump should
and
go
a
for.
persistent negative trend for Ukraine, the Ukrainian government and its Western allies may
JD Vance, man, the vice president now protects Elon Musk's
question is, will Russia accept
rights
this, given their rhetoric
man.
about Odessa, Kharkiv and other Ukrainian territories? That is debatable.
What do you think of Wielawich in Germany? I don't know what currently is going on, but I'm very pro that. There's no question, I think this is a fact. In Germany, for a long time, there was a thing where either when you leave school, you have to either go to the army for 9 months or you have to work in a civil servant thing for 9 months, like taking care of old people or hospitals. And a beautiful genius, Karl Theodor zu Guttenberg, who was, by the way, a fake doctor, had the great idea to turn that off. He felt like, oh yeah, we shouldn't do that anymore, which has major negative impacts. Number one, we now see the world is still full of war thanks to Putin, and we should do certain things to symbolize strength, which is, for example, conscription, which I think most Germans are for now. A very important thing that all the data shows us what really has hurt Germany. Civil services or health stuff, hospitals, retirement homes, they're understaffed, they have big problems. And when that law was made some years ago, what happened is that cheap labor, young people that would work there for, I think, 400 euros a month, not much, they were such a big help to the health sector. They will help so much in hospitals, retirement homes, everywhere. It's cheap labor, yes, but it teaches these young kids, it teaches them a lot. Everyone you talk to in Germany, if you talk to them, hey, did you do civil services? They all say it gave them so much. They learned to be humble. They learned what death is. They learned what suffering is, and it disciplined them and it made them better. And I'm fully for that. I think the German government talked about a thing called Your Year for Germany, where you can either serve in the army or you join health shit, whatever you call that in English, I don't know.
On the one hand, Russia has occupied at least 478 square kilometers in October, its biggest gain since March 2022. On the other hand, Russia is suffering truly massive losses. According to an unspecified senior Pentagon official, Russia has suffered over 600,000 casualties since the start of the war.
But they mean with wounded, because even I don't believe that. 600, that's not true. But with wounded, right? Casualties also includes wounded, right?
Previously, American...
The problem is Russia doesn't care. I once heard, right, all these people are taken not from St. Petersburg, not from Moscow. The rich middle class doesn't feel these deaths. They're all from like villages and shit like that.
Sources claimed 315,000 losses suffered by the Russians by December 2023. In May 2024, the British...
Thank you, Brody.
Ministry of Defense estimated that Russia was losing 1,000 soldiers per day.
Russia's demographics are collapsing? I don't know if that's true. I have no idea about that. I just know he always takes minorities from the east and shit. So when they die, no one cares.
That must be a worrying trend.
Like no one in Moscow and St. Petersburg is losing their sons so much.
Whether they feel like this rate of losses is sustainable is only known in the Kremlin. For now, the sides are reportedly discussing the feasibility of stopping attacks on each other's energy infrastructure, which may be a small first step towards negotiations.
Russian demographics are miserable, so are Ukrainians. But isn't all demographics dying in the whole world?
Visually documented losses suffered by
the Western world has bad demographics.
October 30th, brought to you by the Oryx blog. Russia has lost at least 3,513 tanks, 8,057 vehicles, 293 command posts and communication stations, 1,390 artillery systems and vehicles, 435 multiple rocket launchers.
Russia is being forced to offer increasingly large one-off payments to persuade people to volunteer for the army as the Kremlin struggles to replenish military aim amid catastrophic loss in Ukraine. I don't know if I'm a yapper, man, but isn't all the data we've seen in 3 years showing that Russia is a paper tiger, that Russia can't even beat Ukraine? And that's why I always wonder why we're so fucking afraid. I know there's nukes, I know. But couldn't the West fucking pressure this? You see Russia is weak, you see Russia can't even beat Ukraine, so why are we being such a fucking hostage, man?
130 aircraft and 146 helicopters. Ukraine has lost at least 964 tanks, 3,190 vehicles, 24 command posts and communication stations, 673 artillery systems.
The problem is authoritarians are united and the West is divided. Shows the big weakness of... That's the big weakness of democracy. Democracy, you have all these opinions. Authoritarians, they just do what they want.
79 multiple rocket launchers, 100 aircraft and 49 helicopters. Further updates on the war in Ukraine are on the way.